Hey there, my name is Dawn Del Vecchio, and in this video I'm going to share with you a few insights about what I would call the shadow in the Lightworker community. And that topic alone is vast, actually. There's quite a bit of shadow infiltrating the consciousness, the communities, the intentions of those of us on the planet who intend to bring light, to bring new consciousness and new awareness, to bring about a new world. And so the simplest way to paint the big picture, and then I'll dive into a few specific points, is to say that the greater the light, the greater the shadow. And we are living at a time, we are living at a fascinating time, a time in which many people are awakening. And while there are some experts and leaders in the conscious community who would say there is no awakening because we're living like prisoners on the planet, I would argue that we are actually in the very early phases of an awakening. So those of us who've been on this path for a long time, we see how many more people have actually begun to turn on their spiritual abilities, question the mainstream stuff they've been given all their lives, question mainstream medicine, mainstream news, mainstream religion, and tune into themselves and their own divinity. And we're just at the beginning, so in the bigger scope of things, that's still a very, very, very small percentage of people. And yet, we can go to communities all around the world and on the internet and find an extraordinary number of conscious people doing powerful, positive work in the world, helping others in all kinds of ways, from alternative health and wellness to energy healing to spiritual personal transformation, consciousness healing, which is sort of my realm, helping people liberate themselves of their own painful wounding from early childhood or other lifetimes. So we definitely see there is some shifting happening in the consciousness. On the external, in our external world, however, as some of us really grow our light, what I'm noticing is a great deal of shadow coming in even more. So how is that showing up? It's showing up mostly in fear, actually. And the latest elections here in the United States are really a fascinating study in watching the undermining of the conscious community. Why? Because there are a whole bunch of people who otherwise were really on a path of joy and happiness and elevating their own frequency into more what we would call light, more ability to attract what they want in their life in a positive way. I've seen many of them go down the road of a great deal of fear, anxiety, negative energy, and a refocus totally on everything that the current administration is doing bad, wrong, evil. And this video is not about the rights or the wrongs of politics. In my humble opinion, it's all a bunch of hooey, and the same hand, the same puppet master runs all sides. That's maybe a video for another, conversation for another video. My concern is that we've got some highly intelligent, spiritually awake, conscious people who are falling back into fear because of external circumstances. And any of us who've been working on ourselves for a while, we know that we are creating the reality from the inside out. So when we begin to focus ourselves on everything that's bad out there and the bad guys out there too much, and we forget about realigning to our own light, we struggle. We sort of feed the shadow instead of the light. So that's one way I see it. Another way I see it is with addiction. And this is going to be another controversial statement, but I believe that this whole idea of there's sort of heavily addicted, say, alcoholics or drug addicts, and then there's the rest of us who imbibe regularly but we don't have a problem, is maybe bullshit. Maybe it is. I think particularly with the glorification of alcohol and wine and women and wine and all of that, I think we are dealing with a spectrum of addiction that may not impinge on our day-to-day life, but it does impinge on our frequency. And this is coming from the mouth of a woman who used to write a wine column, who loves wine, loves the taste of wine, loves pairing wine and food. And what I'm finding, not just with me, but all of the many friends and connections I speak with, is that the more you raise your frequency to really line up and allow more spaciousness for your soul and your higher self to come in, the less able you are to dabble around in fun things and not pay a price. So whether that's you just, waking up in the morning and feeling a little bit off and not having as clear access in your meditations, or whether it's going into actual addiction, actually where you can't fall asleep without that glass of wine, or you can't go to a party without joining in the imbibements, or you need that... whatever that is, that chemical thing to help you cope with your emotional states. All of this stuff is a form of usurpation of your soul power. Because the less able you are to be clear and aligned, the less able you can actually embody your soul and let your higher self, your soul self, run the show of your life. And the less able we are to let the higher self run our lives, the more vulnerable we are to believing the bullshit media, believing our fears, falling into more serious degrees of addiction of anything. That could be anything. It could be addiction to TV. It could be addiction to drugs. It could be addiction to sugar. That's one that I've danced with far too much in my life. It could be addiction to bad boyfriends or girlfriends or spouses. It could be addiction to all kinds of things, and particularly to fear, right? To fear that, the world is ending and all of that. So where do I want to go with this? If you feel that you are on a path to bring light to this planet, perhaps you're a healer, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're inspired in some way to make a better world in service to the light, in service to a new planet, in service to the upliftment of all. If you feel that in yourself and you know that you no longer buy into the mainstream stories, then I implore you to begin to turn into your own energy field and notice and be aware of where shadow element is hijacking your energy. Where are you not lining up with that energetically in your being? I'll make another video about energetic sovereignty. I think it's crucial at this time. So right now, though, I just want to invite you to look at where in your life are you living in too much fear? Are old stories, old ego stories, old wounding still keeping you hooked in to unhappiness? Old fears about being right, about your body, how you look, and of course old addictions to substances, to behaviors that don't actually serve you, to relationships that need to be let go of in peace and love. So just begin to notice that, and if there's anything that you're willing to share about how you've experienced that in your life, I certainly welcome your feedback and input in service to the light, in service to the light, in service to our awakening, and in service to making a better planet for all. So thank you, and I will share again. Peace to each of you.